Yo, yo, yo. It is Sound Advice, episode 7. I've had some technical difficulties, so we're late getting on here, but we're here. It's fine.
Yeah.
I did put up a poll today, fellas. Did you guys get a chance to see that?
I feel like I saw a poll, but I don't remember what
poll.
Yeah.
Like a poll or
Yeah, let me go to my channel real quick so you guys can check it out. So this is very scientific. I want to show you before we get started here.
Oh, like a voting poll.
Yeah, like a voting poll. So check this out. The question was, 1 hour to sound advice. Are y'all ready? Now, they had 4. They could choose yes, like with heavy emphasis, sure, or meh. And then they could pick no. We've had 28 votes, and luckily, we're at 79% on yes, 4% on sure, and 18% on meh. So at least we're not no. There's no no's.
Yeah.
that's not too bad. We would call that a statistically significant result in my line of work.
Yes.
In my line of work, we would say just don't put which ones they're excited to see because we don't necessarily want to know. Excited to see Toids the audio? No.
All right. So, what are we talking about today? Who wants to announce this? Do either one of you guys want to take a stab at what we're doing?
It's your channel. You're in charge.
Right.
You go, boy.
My idea for this one was DIY hidden gems or gems that people, speakers, whatever it may be, tools that people don't always look at or websites they don't always look at, and just kind of expose them to some of the DIY stuff that we know about that maybe everybody else doesn't know about.
Yeah, I'm excited about this because I know when I first got started, of a couple places, but even if you go to the website like Parts Express or something of that nature, you don't necessarily know what's good on there, right? I mean, they got a million speakers, and you're like, oh, what's the good one to go for?
And you can't trust the reviews because there's some stuff on there that I know to be just garbage that has great reviews.
Right.
I mean, there's some Pile car audio speakers, some cheap Pile coaxials that have 5-star reviews. And it's like, I thought this was like an audiophile customer base here. We should know better than that.
What does Pile stand for? Pile of what?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Just put it in a pile in the corner.
Oh, put it in a pile in the corner. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I've never liked Pile. I don't know that they've ever maybe they've made quality units at some time, but I don't know of any.
There was a time back in the day
made quality stuff for them.
Oh yeah, they were never they always had it manufactured by someone else. Is that what you're saying?
Well, struck Eminence. Eminence used to make some pile drivers.
Oh, Eminence is good.
Yeah. So.
And back in the day, Pile had some. I think they had a show truck. I remember with a tilting bed with it was just full of tins that apparently won some contest or something. It played loud because you put enough 10-inch subwoofers in the bed of a pickup truck, it'll be loud.
Right.
All right. Well, why don't you start us off with HifiVega? What's one of your hidden gems?
Okay, so I'm gonna hit you guys. I want to share my screen again. Let me open this up just so we can check them out. These are probably not very known. You guys may know about them, but not many people do. These are the Aries SK3 wideband drivers. You guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a sucker for wideband drivers. I have a fondness for them. I just really like them.
That's
which wideband. Another way of saying wideband for other people that are listening is also full range, basically.
Right. And these ones cover, they rate them 100 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So, maybe I've never played with these, so they could be that far, but I'm saying probably 200 to 18K realistically, easy.
So I've never seen those. Can you educate me a little bit? I know you're on the Audible Physics website. Is that where you're at?
Right. This is
SLA Acoustics one of their brands, or is this a brand they sell? Who are these people?
This is where they sell all the Audible Physics drivers. Now they sell the home stuff, as well as the car audio focused stuff on this page. And this is kind of their entry level stuff. It's somewhat new to me, but
Entry
this
level
is
for $90 a pair.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
That's
like
not bad.
the Ram 2s, I believe, are around $250 a pair for some 2-inch. So yeah, this is their entry level, and I have extensive experience with the Ram 2s. So if these perform anywhere near those, they're
what size
very,
are
very
those?
good deal.
Are those 4-inch or what are they?
So these, I believe, are the 3-inch.
3-inch.
Let's see here.
look at that resonant frequency, 96 hertz. So that's perfect for crossing over at 250 hertz and up and just letting those things run.
Right. And then we can kind of zoom in here a bit and check them out.
So I first heard about this website and these speakers when I was hanging out on the DIY mobile audio forums. I probably spent 2 years of my life hanging out there and being active and stuff, trying to learn about these kind of things. And so when you talk about hidden gems, I'm always really confused because, well, hidden from who? Because a lot of people in our audience probably know about these things. I'm just kind of curious, how many people have seen these things before? Can I get like a hashtag me in the chat if you've seen those?
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually curious about that as well, because I didn't know about these till a few months ago. I've been to this website several times. I've used a lot of Audible Physics products, but a couple months ago, I just browsing as one does for new equipment, and I seen these, and I was like, oh man, I almost bought them just on a whim, but I resisted this time.
Yeah, they look really interesting. They look well made. I'm not real familiar with them. I can see why you'd want to try those. Of course, I don't use a lot of full range drivers. Although I will say they did use some in my Reveal micro speakers. Although I did use a tweeter with them too, because sometimes when you get off axis with when you get off axis with a full range, you're going to have those issues. And with home audio, you typically want pretty good on axis and a little bit and off axis. So I actually designed the Reveals, which a lot of people don't know about. It's too bad because they're like $30 to build. They're really cheap to build, and they're really nice little desktop speakers. But
drop links in the description on that, guys, so we can share people. I'm kind of like to see those.
Yeah, the Reveals are really, really tiny, and they're fantastic little speakers for $30. I actually had a patron over the other day, and I designed him some speakers, and he had also built these, and he goes nuts over these speakers. He loves them for, especially for how cheap they are.
That's what kind of, the on and off axis on these up to 10K. It's pretty tight. As you get into the higher frequencies, though, you're going to see, a significant drop over here, but yeah,
nobody our age can hear above 10K anyway. So
right.
Speak for yourself. I can.
No, I can hear it. It's just a lot of us can't.
All right, Justin, what do you got? What's one of your picks?
You see, I've been really stumped because I feel like I'm that guy who's the last to know about everything. I'm always the last to know. But a couple of things that I've experienced and tried out over the years that I love. This is one of them right here. I'll just do a live unboxing on the screen. And what I like about these, it's not so much about performance. It's about what you can do with them. This is one of those little exciters, guys. And I mean, stick it to anything that turns into a speaker. Is it going to be a hi-fi speaker? No, but it's a neat party trick, right? You can stick it to a window, and you've got a window that is a speaker. And it's just got this 3M adhesive. And all it is a magnet and a voice coil. And some people think they sound halfway decent, and if designed right, can be okay. You're not going to win any contest with them, but they're just fun to mess with. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah, and they sell all kinds of different exciters, and it's the same thing. A bass shaker, by the way, is an exciter. It's just that they only do low frequencies. I actually used some of these, and I took one of those cheap Harbor Freight boxes that you can buy. Like they're tough cases. They're supposed to be like they're who's that famous company that makes
the Apache case?
Yeah, the Apache case.
Yeah,
I keep my GoPros in those.
So I built a self-enclosed one where I attached these on the inside, put a battery pack in there and a little amplifier, the Dayton Audio amplifier battery pack combo. and threw it in the pool. We can listen to music while we're in the pool.
How did it sound, and did it do a good job transmitting sound underwater?
Well, it doesn't. It floats. It floats. So
Oh, right.
They're
it's
airtight.
cool
Because, yeah, exactly. They're airtight, so they float. So you can actually use them. Like I had a couple guys that actually built them and have them going down canoeing down the river, or tubing down the, their little streams, I guess, rivers.
See, that's perfect for that, because if you knock it over, you're not going to break it. Those cases, I mean, the Apache cases are just the Harbor Freight's version of that case is really solid.
Yeah, they're nothing like they're not audiophile quality, but it's the cool factor, right? Throw it in the pool.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about nothing's going to get damaged ever. I mean, all your electronics are going to stay good. Your speakers aren't going to get ruined. You're not going to have to worry about the sun beating down on the speakers or the surrounds or anything. It's going to stay in good shape forever. So pretty much.
Like if you got a drop ceiling in your office, just pop open the drop ceiling and stick some of those inside the drop ceiling and run some wires, and you'll have a custom speaker set up that no one can find except by tracing out the wires.
Yeah.
Or put them as your rear surrounds inside your wall.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea.
If you watch some of my videos, I've got a pair that are just made out of foam board that they're my bench speakers, and they're just hanging on the top of my bench, not stuck to the wall or anything. When someone slams the door, they fall over. But they're just fine for when I'm out in the garage, just messing around.
Can you series those and parallel them?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, you can make a whole
10
wall.
of them, like 10 of them.
Yeah.
For the right channel, 10 for the left.
And I tell you, the panels I'm using for 4 of those on the back wall would sound just as good as crappy home theater in a box, probably better home theater in a box surround speakers, and they're flat against the wall.
Wow. That's pretty neat.
They're pretty neat. I like exciters. It's funny. The first time I went to Park Express Midwest Audio Fest, that's all I talked about. They wanted me to do a live presentation on exciters, and that's all I talked about. I think exciters are fantastic for the purposes that you want to use them for. Not hi-fi, but they're neat.
Yeah. So what do you got, Nick? What's
well, you know what? I wanted to talk about. There's 2 subwoofers I really wanted to talk about. So I'm kind of talking about them both.
I know what they are. You want to take a guess?
Yeah. Well, you can guess one of them. I don't think you'll guess the other one because I haven't talked about it yet.
Oh, well, then I don't have a guess then.
Well, you probably, the first one is one of my favorite ones of all time for small subwoofers. So many times you want a subwoofer that can actually go low that's small, and you can't find it. And that's the Tangband W5 1138 SMF. The thing is awesome. I use this thing all the time. I used it in the Dynas. I used it in the Mini Earthquake, although I think I used the Neo motor in the Mini Earthquake. But this thing only needs about a 0.35 cubic foot box, and it can tune down flat to basically 32 hertz. So you're getting ridiculous response out of 5 core. And the thing is, it's underrated in its power. It can accept a lot more power than that. Whether your port will accept a lot more power as far as like chuffing, because it ends up being a big port after a while, is another thing. But these are perfect for especially car audio. If you wanted something small in your car, you could easily put like even 2 of these and not take up much room, and you get a really good response. Home office, desktop, love that. Now, say you want to go something bigger. Say, you know what, 5 1/4 is just not big enough for me. I need the big guns, so I want to do something for home audio, but I don't want to break the bank. So you can always go like with Dayton Ultimax, things of that nature, but they're so expensive. And by the time you get really into it, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend that much money. So here comes the Dayton PA 460. There it is, 18-inch woofer. It's only $100.
Is this the one you used for the hidden build, the one that looked like a piece of furniture?
No, this is not that one. That was a 15-inch. That was $150. This is an 18-inch at $100. So even better value at that.
What's the FS on that thing?
The FS is pretty high. It's
look at the sensitivity, 97 decibels.
28. That's not bad.
Yeah, $100, yeah.
98.
That's crazy.
This thing, people, you typically need to DSP this a little to get the best performance out of it. But
it's got a 3-inch voice coil, man. That's
right.
3-inch voice coil. It can handle 500 watts RMS.
Yep.
Easy. I mean, it's a fantastic woofer. Most people use them for mid bass. in their home theaters, but a couple of these in your home theater will rock your home theater. And if you,
do you really need a subwoofer if you've got 18-inch drivers in your main speakers?
No, people are using these
yes.
as subwoofers. People are using these as subwoofers. I do want to design a speaker with these sometime. I think it'd be really cool to do a 3-way with the PA 460s on the bottom, some type of mid-range, and a tweeter, and keep it right around that 98, 99 decibel sensitivity. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, Jesse mentioned too that the VBSS enclosure for the PA 460 on the AVS forum is a really good thing to look at. So if you're on AVS forum, you can take a look at the VBSS enclosure. Very good. I want to really quickly just get to Marty Jr.'s. That is coming out. He's asking about the $80 subwoofer build that was supposed to be out this past week. I am so sorry, guys. I am so sorry. I looked at my video footage, and half the video footage was bad. It just didn't come out. So I have to.
That never stops me from posting a video.
Oh, was this the video you were telling us about? Like, yeah, man, I'm just making these guys wait for no reason.
Yeah,
like laughing maniacally and all that. Yeah,
that's it. That is literally the one where I'm like, man, I'm gonna get it out this week, and I hadn't looked at the video footage yet, and that's when I realized I need a lot more lights in my shed because it's all grainy. I mean, unless I want to do like a grindhouse style video, it's not gonna work.
I mean, that could be an interesting choice, I suppose. I do have another pick here, so you guys probably know about this one.
Oh yeah,
you may or may have not have used it.
I've been drooling over those for a few years.
Yeah, so these are basically a total ripoff of the Audible Physic Ram 2s. Literally, they confiscated the tooling, and there's like a big long story with this. I don't know all the details, so I can't get into it. But
how did you find out the big long story though? How did you get this insider knowledge?
Because I know guys.
Because I know
the guy that builds all the Audible Physic speakers.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy who knows a guy.
Well, here's the real question: does Audible Physics have their own factories? Because that's
Yes.
always the issue, right? Oh, they do. Okay,
they do now.
They do now. Because I was going to say a lot of times when that happened, it's because they didn't really own the factory and things go missing from the factory, right?
And I'm sad. I'm not sad to say this, but I will tell you that these, while not exactly like the Audible Physics Ram 2, for the money, they are as close as you'll ever get. They're literally, 20% of what the Ram 2's ever cost. So
that's a good deal. Well, that's those are nice too, because once again, another full range driver. Now, how do they must be crossed over by 150, 200 hertz though, right?
I believe I have to check on these because I don't know if they're different.
Yeah,
what's the resonant frequency? I can't see it from here.
139. It looks like it says 139 to 20.
Yep, there it is.
So yeah, probably 200 or so.
That's what I think. I crossed mine over at 500 just because my setup, but I know that these will play, around 200 hertz, 250, something like that.
That's nice. I like that idea. That's a good idea. 2-inch, I think, is like the perfect size for like a full range because you still get a really good off axis. Not like great off axis compared to like a 3/4 inch, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For
I'd
full
love
range,
to see. I'd love to see the off axis measurements on that thing because if they were good,
that's exactly
that might
what
be.
I was thinking, and it's not here.
Yeah, the one thing we need to know to verify that this is a good idea. So we can figure out the point for beaming. I was just watching Aaron's audio corner, and he showed the math for figuring out beaming. It's like I'd seen it before, but it was nice that just today I watched one of his videos, so we could figure that out.
Yeah, it's pretty easy because it just goes off the sides. But keep in mind, a nominal 2-inch speaker isn't necessarily 2-inch speaker.
That's right.
What is this? This looks like it's a 58.5 millimeter, which I don't know what that is.
And this is the thing. I mean, nominal speaker sizes mean absolutely nothing. When you start digging into raw drivers, you're buying stuff from Parks Express, Media Sound. How do you say it?
Mada Sound.
Madia, like it's
Mada Sound. Mada. I'm sorry. Maddie.
Mada,
Mada. I always called it.
And this isn't one of my gems, but I've got a 4-inch driver just sitting right here. It's one of those little Dayton Audio reference 4-inch drivers. And, they call it a 4-inch driver, and the model number is RS100-4. And the 100 is like in millimeters, outside diameter of the entire driver. That's how they get their numbers. And it's like, that's not a 4-inch driver. That's a 3.5-inch driver, guys. So
and if you go onto here and look for speakers, you'll notice that they give you a range 3 to 4 inch, 6 to 7 inch, just specifically for that reason.
Well, and it's funny though, because nominal, it's just same with wood, right? Someone says I want a 1x4, they go and it's 3/4 inch by 3.5, and it's like, guys, if if every time it's 3/4 inch by 3.5, just call it that. Like, don't call it a 1x4. Right. It's not a 1x4. If you can get it perfectly 3/4, but they usually talk about the outside frame is what it's considered. When I was doing the Klipsch KL650s, that was a big sticking point. Is their speakers, even though they called them 6.5-inch drivers, really weren't. I mean, they were actually under. The ones I used were actually a little bit bigger, although the outside frame was 6.5 inches, and they consider them 6-inch. It's weird. There's,
just then they give it to us in millimeters and be like, I need to see that in freedom units, sir.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. All right, Justin, you got another good pick for us.
You right along the same lines, and you've got the how'd you say it again? Metasound, whatever the hell that website's called. Yeah. I just said hell, so we just lost our monetization.
Oh no, we're dead.
I ordered some of the SB17s from SB Acoustics off that website, and they're in my doors. I went with the poly cone. What's cool about that driver? They got a paper cone, they got a poly cone, they got a carbon cone, they have a ceramic cone. I don't care what cone you want, they've got one. And I brought it up mostly because as we're talking about nominal speaker size, they call this a 6-inch driver.
Yeah.
That is not a 6-inch driver. That driver dwarfs the 6.5s that I pulled out of my door and put in these. And so the outside of the surround, I think, is 6 inches on that one. Oh, and so it's almost as big as some little 8-inch drivers I have laying around the house.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, but when you get into your specs, if you look in your the spec sheet that shows the drawing, you can get an idea of what the actual speaker is. But right.
It's always in millimeters, so I don't know what.
We need the conversion on that.
Only we had a site called Google that could convert it. That would be awesome. I know, me neither.
Actually, they make some really.
Hey, scroll back down, HifiVega.
All right,
scroll back down for a second. So what we are looking at, see this 144.89, guys? See how it's showing from the edge of the surround to the other edge of the surround? That's the actual speaker size. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just pointing out
the thing like that we have to deal with is putting it in a vehicle. The outer surround also matters.
Oh yeah.
Because the holes won't always fit those. And I just had to modify some Rockford Fosgate with a pair of snips to make them fit in the Trooper.
And I think that is why they do it, because I mean, even when you're looking for a substitute for a speaker that you already had and you're trying to resubstitute, you need to try to figure out what's going to fit in that hole.
Right.
So you want something at least close.
Yeah, you definitely, like, if in car audio, let me go back so you can see here. You want to measure not only the mounting depth, but the mounting diameter as well as the flange diameter. And then you want to know how much the surround sticks out and your X-Max, because all those are going to be important to you when you're putting them in a door.
That becomes a really big deal when you've got some drivers that have a lot of cones sticking out, and some of them do. I've always just made a ring for the one or two times I've done it. So it doesn't really matter what size it is. I'm going to make a ring to go in the hole and then a ring with a hole in it for the speaker.
It's a lot of rings. You should just put a ring on it.
But for everybody watching, we're going to have a link in the description, like affiliate links for all these. We'll also have the websites that we're going to listed as well, so you guys can check those out.
Yeah, and there are some that we're not affiliated with, like Maddie Sound. I don't think any of us are affiliated with them, but I
don't think they have affiliate links, do they?
They may not, but the thing is, we just want to bring things to your attention. Some of the things are things that we've used, obviously, and so some of those are affiliate links because of that reason. But it's not. It's just
right.
What's good.
Appreciate it, Thomas.
Hey,
thumbs up.
I agree. By the way, I wish Sean had 29 thumbs. I would just get him on camera just to show it to you.
DNN brings up another good one. This is actually, I'll go ahead and, since he shared it.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This is one of my picks here. I'll go ahead and pull them up on screen so everyone can check them out.
Now, are these the ones that have the wool cone?
Right.
Yeah, these are nice. Yeah.
And these are kind of, legendary.
Excellent value, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent value. Because they're only, what are they, $30 a piece, about 35?
Yeah, $32, and then shipping. If you try to buy them on Amazon, that's why I didn't put an Amazon affiliate link, because they're like $55 on Amazon. So I was like, there's no way I'm putting that link on there. We'll just send them to Madison.
Yeah, these have always been, and they're very flat, easy to cross over, easy to work with.
Oh yeah, they are flat, aren't they? Look at that.
Yeah, they're very flat, which they're a really nice speaker to use, especially in a two-way audio system. We
made the mistake of not describing things well so that those who are listening on the podcast can understand it. We pulled up the speaker on the website and showed a response curve, and it's flat from what range is it flat from, guys? I can't see.
Well,
almost
it's not going to. It's
to about like 4K. It's flat almost. You got to dip at 1K and a bump just before at 800s. It's
not really. So here's the deal. There's a bump there, but look, this is one thing that people don't pay attention to is look at the scaling. So if we take a look at the decibel scaling on the left-hand side, this is plus or minus 5 decibels, right? So each line is 5 decibels. Most of the ones that you look at are 10 decibels. So this is going to look worse because it's zoomed in more, but that's only going up like 1 decibel, maybe 2 decibels.
So there's a spike at 5K, which I'm guessing is that cone breakup. Is that what I'm thinking, Nick?
Yeah, you're gonna want to cut it off way before. Yeah, you're gonna want to cut off probably by 2K, or more.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't go past 3K with them if I was using them.
Yeah, I'd have to do some more distortion measurements, but yeah, somewhere around 2 to 3K.
Yeah,
and that spike's not that huge with that scale, so that's not too shabby.
No, it's like at the highest, the bump around 800 is probably 3 dB, which, that's not bad. Most speakers are much worse.
No, and it's in a good spot. It's not in a bad spot either.
Yeah. All right, Nick, what pick do you have for us?
I have one that both me and DIY Audio Justin have used that I think is a product that a lot of people can get behind. It's a company I really appreciate. And I think it's a product that we can all get behind. It's really neat what they do. It's called Arylic. Not a lot of people know about this. They sell a lot of DIY boards. And they sell already finished products too. So if you want to buy already finished amplifiers, you can do that. But they're amplifiers and pre-amplifiers that add whole house audio streaming to it. So basically what you can do is you can have basically the exact same song playing all throughout your house, and it uses your Wi-Fi network or hardwired network, whichever one you have, or both. You can mix it. Those units as well. Yeah, so that's their Amazon one. This is the 2.1 board, by far my favorite 2.1 board I've ever used. They have, of course, it does 2.1, and then it also allows you to add fiber optic to it. You can DSP it. It has Bluetooth. I mean, it has pretty much everything built in that you would want on a 2.1 board that I can think of. You change the crossover points. You can add a linkage transformer. You can do all kinds of cool stuff to this thing.
And these have DSP built in?
They do have DSP built in. You do have to buy the app, but the app will work on as many of their products as you want. It's $20. It's cheap.
Yeah, $20. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cheap. Then you can also do multi-room streaming. So say you want to do streaming in a certain part of your house, but maybe outside you want to stream something else. You can do that. You can, if you have 10 of these units, you can be playing 10 completely different songs or mismatch that however you want, all the way up to playing the same song on all 10 units.
Could you do some sort of home theater with this if you combine boards?
No, but it does do TWS, which is a way of taking one speaker over on one side of your room and one speaker on the other side of your room and making one a left and one a right speaker.
Okay.
So you could do that. You do get, as with any type of wireless streaming, you're going to get a little bit of a lag. So you can, one of the ways that I use this sometimes is when I have a football game going, I'll put the audio on in like the bathroom or something. So if I have to run, I can still hear the game or hear what's going on without blaring it. But there's a little bit of a delay. So it's a little behind the main TV. So you wouldn't necessarily want it in the very next room playing the same signal if it's an open room.
Put it outside so that the smokers who've come to visit can go outside and smoke and still hear the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just hook it up to a few little exciters out there.
Well,
there you go.
A lot of people want to do whole house audio, and the thing is, it's very inexpensive to do. Like their units are, I would say, really reasonably priced.
So one thing to consider, if you don't want to follow one of our links, because there's links in my video on it, if you don't want to follow our links and you go to Amazon and you search for it, if you search for however they pronounce it, Ehrlich, Arlick, whatever, you're going to get a bunch of acrylic nails. You're never going to find it. But if you search up to stream, it'll pop up. And that's, I think, the company's biggest problem is nobody can find it.
It's true. I did put the links in there, one to their website and one to them. And they're very good with you, too. So if you wanted to even contact them and talk to them, they're very nice. I've never had any issues with them. In fact, if I ever just see something that's interesting, I'll just ask them and they'll send it to me pretty much, which is really cool. There's not a lot of companies that do that. In fact, they already offered to send me the fiber optic port of that board. I'm like, wait, I'm a little too busy right now, but but maybe I will, because I do really enjoy these. And this, I think, would be really cool for like a 2.1 sound bar.
Yeah, and he said, Jesse asked, what brand minus 3D? I'll let you guys pronounce the brand.
What? Minus 3 dB?
Yeah, I think he might have seen something on here. It says something like that. Well, what's the brand of this amplifier? How's it? Arylic?
Arylic is what I call it.
Okay.
Like acrylic without a C. Arylic.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, you're up. What's next?
All right. Now, this one's going to be a little bit odd. I've always, if there's something odd, I'm going to be the guy who comes up with it. I'm going to recommend, oh, God forbid, a book.
Oh, no.
All right. So if you really want to get into DIY audio, especially home audio, pick you up a copy of the Loudspeaker Design Cookbook by Vance Dickinson. Or is it Dixon? Dick Ason. I don't know. Now, I'll give you some warnings. All the diagrams in it are tiny. The text is small, so you have to get some old man readers on to read the text. And it's got everything you'd ever want to know about everything. And so you can, I wouldn't recommend just reading it, look stuff up, because it's pretty dense reading, and it gets mathy, it gets a lot of graphs, it gets a little bit overwhelming at time. And I tend to like that kind of stuff, and I kind of get overwhelmed by it some, but they're just all kind of cool information. For example, did you know that the best speaker baffle possible is a sphere?
I did know that.
Right. And
you're talking
it goes
about
into
diffraction issues. For
right.
Reasons, yeah.
Now, that's a good point, El Fuego. Everything that's in this book can be found online. Right. Everything that's in this book can be found online. There's nothing hidden in this book, but it's right there. And so sometimes when you're reading online sources, you don't know what people are thinking when they write stuff. You don't know where they get their information, but that's a good one. If you really want to get into it and have a reference you can look through.
So yeah, it's good to have it on hand, because sometimes you want to know a very specific question, and you can sometimes find that on Google or YouTube, but a lot of times you cannot. So
well, a lot of times when you go to the forums and stuff, you're getting someone's opinion, and here you're getting research. Now, the thing with Vance Dickinson's book, and this is why a lot of people don't understand why it's not really necessarily easy to read. Do you know how he wrote this book, Justin?
My understanding is he had some test equipment and just sat down and started testing. I don't really know much beyond that.
So I actually sat down and talked to him he's at Midwest Audio Fest almost every year. So
cool.
Yeah, he's one of the judges, and you can just talk to him. And I talked to him about it. He actually did an interview. I lost the footage, but I recently found it, so I'm going to try to get that video actually out on the channel. I lost it when I moved, but he basically it was his own notebook. He took a notebook and was writing all these things down, things that he learned as he learned it, because it wasn't a good whole area of like where you could just go. And
just the way, like when if you work in a laboratory, you're supposed to keep a lab notebook and you keep all your experiments in it. He just tracked it all like that, right?
Exactly. So the first one was like really hard to follow because it was literally just his notebook that they printed, and it was just kind of in whatever order it was already in. And so over the years, they've redefined that and tried to make it a little bit easier and to follow. But that's kind of what's going on there.
And I believe that one Justin shared was the 7th edition. So
that's the most recent, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, you don't know? No, just kidding. You're good.
Again, I mean,
just kidding.
Like I'm always the last to know. So if I don't know something, I'm not surprised. I'm unsurprised by the amount of things I do not know.
So I've got one for you. If the audible physics that I shared earlier are a little too rich for your blood, maybe check these out. I know you guys, have you heard of Newark?
I've heard you mention it before.
Yeah,
okay, so
a lot of small parts from them too.
I remember who they bought. They bought MCM Electronics. If you guys remember them, they sold a lot of speakers and stuff, and they picked them up, and they still have these. These are full range. They're 8 ohm, 2-inch, but they're $22 each, and they basically have the same, the same kind of specs and everything as the more expensive Aries that I showed you, but at a much cheaper price.
You know what? I'm just going to mention this. This has nothing to do with necessarily these particular speakers, but I actually appreciate a rising high end on full range speakers because of the off axis response, because you're rarely listening directly on axis. So I like to actually run that off axis up a little bit higher.
Yeah, these are, I mean,
that looks good.
Wide, man. It's very hard to keep them kind of controlled. And I can't tell on this if it's showing. Yeah, I think they're showing up to 20K.
Well, it looks like even all the way to 30 degrees off axis, it's pretty darn good still.
Yeah.
Up to about 15 kilohertz, which is pretty good.
Yeah, because they've got it measured all the way to 60. And, 60, you're getting a lot of dispersion, but not too bad for $23, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. That looks great.
All right. What's the next one up on the block? What do you guys got? Who's next? Nick?
Yeah, I'll mention this. This is have you guys heard of Bang & Olufsen?
No, never.
We've all heard of Bang & Olufsen. They're known for high.
I love the way, for those who aren't watching live or on YouTube, the way Rob just delivers the joke, like, no, never. Like,
deadpan. That's my thing, man.
See, I'm just going to tell you right now, though, Bang & Olufsen, high end, usually very expensive. Most people in DIY, I can't say most people, a lot of people in DIY audio aren't gonna put their money on that type of equipment. However, Bang & Olufsen created an amplifier not too long, well, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now, called Icepower, and they have sold that off since then. And Icepower amplifiers you could not get as a consumer. So DIY guys, forget it. You're not getting Icepower. And so Parts Express bought a bunch of these Icepower boards, anywhere from what the first one is, I don't know, 50 watts each, I think, or so, all the way up to 1,000 watts. And these things are fantastic. In fact, the 500 and 1,000 watt modules, I've used the 500 watt modules. They actually have a built-in, see that silver part of it? That's a built-in heat sink on that thing. And that thing is, the one next to it to your left, the over 311. Here. Yep, that one. See that big silver thing? That goes all the way underneath it, and on the other side, it's just a big piece of aluminum that's silver. And Gent Audio, Gent Audio, there's a link in the description, sells cases for these that you can actually buy already made, and you can put these right in it. And these are plug-and-play amplifiers. They're very, very simple. I created a video, how to make a hi-fi amplifier, how to make a $3,000 hi-fi amplifier for, I don't know, $300 using these units, and I show you how to wire these, but they're very simple to wire.
These are these are cool. 1,000 watts for $129.
So no, if you go back to the website, I want to. There's a little bit of confusion to that.
Let me share this because
So there's two modules. There's the A module. So see that's the 1000A. that's like a sister board. So it plugs into, see this? What? Go scroll back down a little. See that? Yep, click on that. That's the ASP board. The ASP board has the built-in power supply and an amplifier. Now you can hook up to 2 more amplifiers to this. So you could make a 3,000 watt amplifier using this board. So it's $249 for the ASP, and then an additional 100 for every 1,000 watts you want to add onto that, up to 3.
Oh, okay.
So how do these compare to Dayton Audio's kind of less expensive, the KAB little Bluetooth things? I've had a couple of those, and they were fun to play around with. But as I look back, I would have a hard time just strongly recommending. They're fun to play around with.
So it's really funny that you bring that up. Audioholics, if you guys are familiar with Audioholics, they actually did this great attack of the clone amplifiers, what they called it. It was a great article, and all of the high-end companies, whether it was PS Audio, Rotel, all hi-fi companies used these exact same amplifiers in it, and they all charged a completely different price. And guess what was different? Nothing. I mean, you're right. There was maybe 1 or 2 small things, but nothing really that was different. And so when I say, like, really, you're buying a $3,000 or $5,000 amplifier, that's what they were charging for these, $3,000 to $5,000 back then.
Yeah.
And you can buy them now for, what was that, $200 or something like that, And the 200 watts, you can build the whole thing, case and everything, for $300.
And it's plug and play. All you need is the case, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, Gant Audio sells it case with cable kit, and I would recommend that. The cables are cut blank, then.
Because that's where I've run into trouble with these things. I get in the middle of building something. The same thing with the Arlic board. If you're going to buy that board, buy their little kit that goes with it. Buy a bunch of parts to go with it. Because the last thing you want to do is be out there with these tiny little amplifiers and tiny little parts, and go, I don't have everything I need.
Exactly. Yeah. So I always tell people, hey, if you've always wanted a Rotel amplifier, or you want a PS Audio, and you were like, man, I can't spend $5,000 on one. Or Wired for Sound was another one that used these. Just go ahead and buy these units and build one.
Yeah. I'd like to power test one of these.
Oh, man.
Just to see.
We got to do RX tunes, man. Listen to that right there. That's.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate it, man.
Said best episode yet, guys. That's awesome.
Anytime we're talking about gear. So, Justin, let me pick one for you that you have.
Pick one for me. Go ahead. I put a list ahead of time.
I highly recommend this product here. All right, give me a second. It's got to load.
That's okay.
Is that slow?
Yeah. It wouldn't share why it was loading.
I can't figure out what it is. Oh, hey, yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is the Duratex. Now, Parts Express sells 2 different versions of this. I haven't tried their newer one yet. I always go for the Duratex because it always comes with the roller. And the other one, you have to pay for the can and the roller separate, and it comes out to be $2 more. And I would rather save $2 on something. I love this stuff because it's just so idiot proof. My last speaker I just posted this weekend, I covered the back. It's a home theater subwoofer, the back with this, and the bottom, and then just around the edge of the bottom, because it makes a nice contrast. And it's just idiot proof. If you can put paint on a roller and not spill it and make a huge mess, you can make a speaker look good with this. Nick, have you used this, Nick?
I haven't, but the 2 things I would say about Duratex that most people don't realize is, one, Duratex goes a lot longer than it seems. So people see a gallon of it's like $50. They're like, oh, well, that gallon's going to last you a lot of speakers. It's not going to be just one speaker. And 2, it gives a rough finish on the end, right? It gets a real rough finish on the end. It's kind of like a PA style finish. Keep that in mind. I'm not necessarily always a fan of that look, but it hides your edges really well.
It does. Yeah. It does. A second coat will cover up most blemishes, especially if you're real careful and gloop on some stuff wherever you've got like a nail hole or something to make sure it's covered well. It's supposed to be water resistant or waterproof. And when you're done, you get a look that's a whole lot like what you would get if you were to go buy, say, PA speakers that have been covered with like a PA speaker vinyl. And I think Duratec makes a white version that I've heard you can tint to a different color. Mm-hmm. I've had no experience with that. I have no idea where you get it tinted at. Will they do that at like Home Depot for you?
You can do it yourself with a tint color.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Do it yourself, much like Raptor Liner, and this finish is a lot like Raptor Liner. It's like for car audio. All these car audio boxes you see with the textured black finish, rubberized. This is actually, I prefer the Duratex over those even. I think it comes out a little bit nicer.
So a lot of kind of bed liner materials have more of a sandpaper consistency.
Yeah.
And so this is smooth and bubbly is how I would describe it. Yeah. And the best part is it just takes 30 minutes to dry. So you can have 2 coats done in an hour and a half and then, turn the speaker over and do another hour and a half on the bottom. And I don't know about y'all, but when I'm working on a project, usually in a few hours, my wife's going to say, hey, I got to pull my car in the garage. So I don't want to scrape my windshield in the morning. And so I got to have things done. Projects have to get done quick. And I don't have time for complicated finishes to sit and dry unless I'm on the ball and started on a Friday night. And I'm never on the ball starting things on a Friday night. It's just so idiot proof. Yeah, $30 for, is that a gallon or the quart? That's the quart.
That's the quart.
It's a quart, yeah.
Yeah, $30 for a quart.
It's a pint.
Oh, pint. Gotcha. That size container can easily cover a 4 cubic foot speaker box.
I bet it covers about 10 to 12 square feet.
Yeah, I mean, but a 4 cubic foot box is
10 to 12 square feet, exactly what it says.
I know, I read it.
But yeah, that'll cover a 4 cubic foot speaker box and have 25% left. And if you're running low on it, hit it with some black spray paint so nothing pokes through, and then do 1 coat of Duratex on it.
I think if you're not going to buy anything else we mentioned on here, I would definitely recommend you at least try this small pint and see what you think about it. And I guarantee you'll be impressed with the result you get.
Well, it does make finishing the speaker much easier. A lot of people like this, especially in home theater behind the screen stuff, because no one ever sees it and it's not shiny, so it's not reflective. So if you have something like an acoustically transparent screen, well, it's not going to shine off of your speakers, right? It's going to die in the back, which is nice.
I don't know if they still stock it or not, but they also have a smaller size that's in like a little plastic bag.
Right. I remember that.
And so if you don't want to spend $30 on a can just to try it out,
I mean, honestly, $30 is the same you're going to be paying for like even a cheap gallon of paint. Yeah, I know it's a pint, but the pint, it goes a long ways. It really does. It goes probably farther than a gallon of paint would.
Compare it to stain plus poly. You're not that much more expensive. Compare it to some type of nice adhesive plus carpet, or vinyl. Vinyl, if you want to get expensive, cover your speakers in vinyl. And I've got some, the speaker right back up here has some veneer on the front of it. Well, that veneer sheet was $60. I mean, it was 2 foot by 8 foot, so it wasn't that one little piece. And that was a scrap I had left over, but you can drop $60 on veneer and still have to glue it on and still have to paint it. And you can have $100 worth of it.
3M adhesive is $12, $13. If you use Weldwood, that's going to be like $17 for the smallest can. So
yeah.
So there's one more thing that I really wanted to bring up. I'm going to not mention the Overnight Sensations. Most people know about those. The only reason why I brought that kit up is because it's Baltic birch and it's nice because it's easy to finish. But I really want to bring up this soldering iron. This is by Xtronic. I had never heard of Xtronic before. I don't know if you guys had. One of my buddies said, hey, you should really look at these Xtronic soldering irons. I'm like, all right. So I bought one. Dude, it's the best soldering iron I've ever used. And it's so inexpensive. It's about $55.
It's got the helping hands already on the...
So this is the newer model. I didn't have this one. But yeah, it has the helping hands already on. You can plug up your solder spool right there. So it's the whole station right there. It's a soldering station.
Zoom in on the helping hands. On the end of the helping hands, there's
rubber tips.
The rubber. So that you're not cutting through the wire with your super strong helping hands like most of these things seem to have.
Or if you get it too hot on the end, it'll melt through and then the metal will go through. So, another nice thing for that. And it's variable. It does allow you to do either Fahrenheit or Celsius. And if you scroll down just a little, see, it's got in the temperature gauge. No, go back in the temperature thing. It'll show you like in the green and then it'll to the red. So red's like, oh man, that's hot. Be careful. Green, you're pretty good. This, what the heck are you doing this cold?
How stiff are the wires on that soldering iron part? I've noticed like soldering stations that I've bought, the wire is so thick and unmanageable you basically need, even though the soldering station is only this big, you need, roughly 5 foot of space to be able to use it properly.
I have it right here. You're talking about this.
Yeah.
It's so loose. It's awesome.
Oh, there you go.
And the thing with this too is it's really long. Like you can't tell, but it's really long, which is really nice too. This is, like I said, I had the older one. This is the 3020. That's the 3020 XTS.
Yeah.
But mine's a little dusty. But it's nice too with that sponge and the cleaning stuff right there to clean off real quick. It just makes it really nice. There's a lot of good.
Okay, that's the deal breaker for me. I like that.
What? The cleaning to be easily clean your tips and stuff, or what?
What, the cable? Because, like I said, I bought actually a cheap one, and it's a very popular one from Parts Express. I'm not going to name the one it is, but the cable is so bulky that you cannot. I mean, I would have to use my entire desk to be able to use it properly, to have room for it and not have it pull itself over.
Oh, that's not good. You're going to burn a finger like that.
I'm not sure if you're talking about stall, but I used stall before this, and this is night and day, significantly better.
Yeah.
I've used some variable temperature ones as well. This thing, by the way, heats up like that. I mean, you turn it on and it's hot within 10 seconds. I mean, awesome. All the way up. I mean, it's just
that's real important. I mean, because the last
got it.
That's important because most of my soldering is terrible because I'm impatient.
I had one that took like 10 minutes to I was like, oh my gosh, is it still not hot yet?
No, at that point, throw it away. You can't.
That was the stall. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. That was a cheap one.
It wasn't.
I don't know.
I've got a stall that seems to do just fine. I haven't used it after I got a butane one because I don't like having cords.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I threw mine in the trash, the stall that I had, because it irritated me that bad. And once I got to Milwaukee, I was like, you know what? I'm not desoldering chipboards and stuff, so I don't need this big station. So you're gone.
Yeah.
But I have one last pick, and I actually have props for this one. So let me share the screen, let you guys check it out, and let me grab the props.
4-inch coaxial. So that's like one of those coincident speakers where you've got a separate wire.
Never mind, the props are gone. I forgot I put them out in the garage, but
oh.
I thought I had them in here. But anyways, I just ordered a pair of these, and these are the coincident style coax, meaning you can basically amp the tweeter from the mid range at a 4-inch, and at $52. This is pretty stellar. In my little bit of testing that I've done with them. Have you guys had any experience or seen them?
I've not, no.
And I mean, these little guys are pretty thick.
And so on the image that we pulled up, you can see terminals on the right and the left side, and there's what looks to be a ground wire or something grounded to the magnet. And I'm guessing it's going through the pole piece.
Right.
And headed. Nick, we can't hear you all of a sudden. I looked down. I saw Nick's lips moving and no sound coming out of his mouth. So he must have pulled the plug.
Yeah, he must have muted himself.
I did. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yes. What?
Yeah, that right hand side is for the tweeter. That's where the tweeter wires go, and then the left hand side is for the mid.
Yep. And there's no built-in crossover on this. Is that right?
No crossover whatsoever. So if you want to use these like a true coaxial, you're going to have to put your own crossover in line.
Yeah, but still, that's really cool. And, a lot of people like concentric and coaxial drivers. Andrew Jones is a huge concentric speaker. I mean, if you take a look at Andrew Jones's designs, if you're familiar with Pioneer and ELAC, he works for ELAC now. And most of the ELACs you're going to see will have a woofer on the bottom and then a coaxial, or some people call it concentric speaker on top. And it would be very similar to something like this where,
well, there's a lot of good reasons to do that, because we talked about, our last episode, the ideal speaker, it would be just something that can play from 20 hertz to 20,000. And this is getting one step closer to that. And I don't know what it is that makes a coincident speaker like this better than the old school coaxials that we use in car audio. What is it that makes this better?
On these particular, they don't have a pole piece up. Sometimes that kind of messes the driver up because the tweeter's sitting flush. But actually, you don't have to cut the wires to make them biamp them yourself. That's the main advantage.
Well, and the other thing is, and I don't know, I've never used this particular driver, but where the tweeter is placed in conjunction with the woofer, they are probably pretty close to being time aligned, like physically time aligned, which helps a lot too. I don't know if it is physically time aligned. I would have to do tests on that, but that would be another.
Yeah, but it's ideal. You know, I originally bought these. I thought about putting them on the dash. They're a little bit too big for that. Once I got them in and I kind of seen what I wanted to do, so that's not going to happen. I'll figure out something else to do with them. But that would be ideal if you can have your main bass or your mid bass driver down low, and then these up top, and have almost all of your sound coming out of those. That would help you out quite a bit as far as imaging.
Well, SB Acoustics usually makes good stuff, and that's one of the things you'll notice is that Maddie Sound has different speakers than Parts Express, and that's designed that way, you guys. Typically, you're not going to find competing brands at Parts Express and Maddie Sound. You're going to find different drivers at different places.
Yeah, for sure, and it's for good reason. That way, you have a place to shop at one or the other. Our Xtunes asked if we had silver flutes. Yes, I had silver flutes.
Oh, you gotta go back and watch the replay to find out the answer to that question. Don't go telling people the answer until they watch the replay, man.
The answer is you might find it if you watch it again.
Well, forget what I told you. Just rewatch is what.
he already said he was going to rewatch it. Yeah, those silver flutes are a nice one as well. I think we got through our whole list, didn't we?
I got through my whole. I know Justin's got some more. You want to go one more?
Tons of things.
I actually
one more. We got a few minutes.
And then we got one more. I can do one more. Right. Can you bring up the link to that big heavy piece of equipment from Harbor Freight?
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
Let's grab that one. Now, this one might be, when Rob brought this up and he said, "Hey, we're going to do hidden gems for DIY," and I'm sitting here going, "There's so much." It could be anything, because when you're doing DIY, you got to just do a lot of stuff yourself. Y'all, this right here is the back saver. They have one that's a little bit cheaper that does 500 pounds, doesn't lift quite as high. If you've got a big heavy speaker box and no one around to help you pick it up, don't pick it up. The amount of money you're going to spend on the MRI so they can confirm that you've blown a disc out is a whole, and the pain and suffering is a whole lot more than what this cart cost. And other brands sell these things. So if you're moving a lot of heavy stuff around, grab one of these. This one's lifts up to 34 inches, the same height as my table saw, and therefore all my outfeed tables. And if I've got something heavy that I need moving around that I don't want to pick up, just stick it on that thing and roll it around.
Well, that might be a good idea too. You could actually put some MDF on that, bring it down a little, and make it even, and turn it into an outfeed table for that matter. A small one. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be huge. It wouldn't be.
And unloading wood from your truck as well.
Right.
You can get it up level where you can just slide it off, basically.
Yep. Because some people can lift a whole sheet of plywood. I used to could, and I can't anymore. If I did that, I'd be out, and I wouldn't even. You'll know if I do that because you won't see a video for 6 to 8 weeks probably. So yeah, kids do the same for free. No, kids are not free. I promise you, kids cost more than $279.99.
Right.
Yeah, the Tool Bear guy loves these too. He endorses them as well. But get the one from Northern Tool if you don't like Harbor Freight. Just get one of those things, just because don't bust your back. And what you can do is you can build your shop furniture, so you can just lift it with that and move shop furniture around. Those are all kind of things you can do with it.
Yeah, for sure. That's a solid tool. I mean, any tool that can help you make the job easier can be worthwhile, especially when you're talking about your back.
My only complaint with it is the locking wheels that lock it steady. Don't. So if you're going to be pushing a lot of things around, you can usually get your quad bike upstairs, Derek. Derek, Wilson Audio Labs. Because that's it. You could put that on this table and lifted up and gotten the quad box into the back of your SUV.
To go upstairs, you're going to need HifiVega at least. Have you seen the guns on that guy?
Oh man, D's bigger than me, man. He's a strong feller.
Well, then both of you.
He's just super old. I mean, that's,
Y'all can't be any
That's
older
where
than
I
I
come.
am.
So, y'all want to talk about what we're doing starting next week?
Oh yeah, it is starting next week. Yeah. So
Toids,
Is that
give
when
us
it starts?
the
I'll go ahead and start that. So next week, after our normal show, so it'll be on my channel. So I'll go ahead and talk about after our normal show, we're going to do a patron only sound advice where patrons can ask us questions and things of that nature. If you are not a patron and you want to get in on it, we will allow you to get in on it. There's going to be a fee just because, our patrons, we're doing this because they support us. So there will be a fee for that. If you want to do it, we'll put it up on the Sound Advice website and probably each one of our channels, maybe in the the description thing. Yeah. So
and,
we'll do
and it'll be at the $10 level for any of our patrons. We'll be able to get it, and we'll have a
$10
separate
and
link.
up. Yeah, $10 and up.
Yeah, $10 and up, correct. And we'll have a separate link, so we'll be able to send that link out through Patreon, and you'll have it the night before the show. And then, when the regular show ends, we go to the next one, and you'll be there asking questions.
Yep. And if you can't make it, you go ahead and get your questions in early to us, and we'll make sure to answer them anyway. It's not that much. Crap chest. It'll probably be like $25 or something if you really, really want it. Just if you want in on one and you have a lot of questions that you really want to ask us, this might be a good time to get those questions answered.
Or just hang out and have a conversation where we're not just talking about our stuff. We're talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And if you're not a patron, we'd love to all have you as patrons, because we all do cool stuff on our Patreon. Y'all know that I'm really kind of a spreadsheet geek, and so everything I do, I make a spreadsheet for it. I just upload my spreadsheets to the Patreon. I do early access. But patrons have already seen next week's video, or at least parts of it. So, and I always try to give a lot of value to my patrons, because these are people who are actually putting a lot of effort into helping me out. So, what do y'all do special for your patrons?
Mine get my speaker build plans for free, depending on what tier you're in. So, I have paid versions of my speaker plans, like the Dynas and things of that nature, and you get that one-on-one access. So if you have questions on it, I can answer those. I also, the Soundstage 15, which is probably my favorite 2-channel speaker listening ever that I've made or listened to, for that matter. It's only $500 to build, really cheap for an amazing sound quality like that. My patron actually asked me to design those for him, and he'd been a long-standing patron, so I said, sure, why not? So we built those. So there's all kinds of perks that you get. I don't do that, if it's your first month in and you're like, build me a speaker,
Yeah, and I do like some early content. When I get it done, I'll post that up early. I do behind the scenes stuff. I do shout outs in the video, shout outs where you're just seen in the video, as far as your name being posted, that type of stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of reasons.
And we all have like corporate sponsor level patrons tiers. So if you're from a large business and would like to help our small channels out, we definitely love to hear from you.
Yep.
So guys, what do you guys have going on this week before we get off?
You go ahead and go first, Justin.
So I have already gotten next week's video finished for the first time ever. I'm an entire weekend ahead. My goal is to get to the where I'm 2 weeks ahead on my videos. I have the nastiest subwoofer video ever to be posted on YouTube coming up on my channel this next weekend. It'll drop Friday, middle of the day. And these guys here have already seen a little sneak peek of it, but it is the nastiest video, subwoofer video on YouTube.
Nice. I've got.
No, it's not. It's nasty.
Yeah. What's nasty and nice? I've got 12E Talk coming up. Me and Big D are doing 12E Talk. We're going to be announcing a challenge again. If you guys know, you know. If you don't, come find out Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. I do Reverse Polarity on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Central with Dean. That's the adult show. So, yeah, come have fun. Leave the kids at home. And that's what I got coming up. I got some more video stuff for next Monday, but I just dropped a Crunch SA1 or 2100.1 amp, a $90 sub amp. It says 2100 watts on it. Watch the video and find out. What you got coming up, Nick?
The $80 subwoofer build again. And if you haven't caught the 15-inch build with the I say JBL clone, it's not really JBL clone. It's inspired by the JBL SRX 815. I saw those speakers and I said, I wonder if I can build something better. I think I did for significantly cheaper. The only other person that's built them to this day thinks they're the greatest speakers he's ever heard. And I think they're really good, especially for 2-channel music. Amazing. So if you haven't got a chance to check that out, check that out. I'm going to start doing a little bit more, just kind of talking about things that are going on with like questions that you have in audio related stuff. So like, for example, can a speaker measure well and still sound bad? Things like that. I'm going to start doing more of those conversational style videos for you guys as well.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm ready to see what you guys come out with, and I'm ready to for next week. I don't know what the topic's going to be, but we're going to be on your channel, right?
It's going to be on my channel. Yep.
Toids DIY Audio. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Also subscribe to the DIY Audio guy because we rotate this. This isn't on one channel every week, and you guys do not want to miss it. So with that, I just got to say